So you want to play Clan Wars, but you don't have a tier 10 ship. The good news is that Wargaming wants to be as inclusive as possible. As a result, they're going to loan tier 10 ships to players that don't have one. 3 ships will be available on a rotational basis. Despite this, tier 10 gameplay can be challenging, if not downright daunting, to a player that has never harnessed the power of a tier 10 ship. Players will have to learn to adapt quickly in a very short amount of time. For that, I've got you covered. We're going to take a look at the Shimakaze, the tier 10 Japanese destroyer. I'll give you information about the ship, some recommended captain skills and modules, and some tips on how to play. It's a crash course in tier 10 gameplay. The Shimakaze can be a very challenging destroyer to play. It's gone through numerous revisions since closed beta. While it may be a little harder to play than it used to be, and it isn't quite as manageable as the Gearing, Z52, or Haborosk, you can still use the Shimmy to great effect for purposes of clan gameplay. Your primary weapons on the Shimmy, as it's affectionately called, are the 3 quintuple torpedo launchers that allow you to fire 15 torpedoes in short succession. That's enough to give any hardened player chills. What's more, you have a choice of 3 very distinctive torpedo types. The long-range Type 93 torpedoes have a whopping 20-kilometer range with 62 knot speed. The medium-range Type 93 Mod 3s have a range of 12 kilometers with a top speed of 67 knots, while the short-range Type F3s have a short range of 8 kilometers with a lightning-fast speed of 76 knots. All boast extreme damage, so even one hit will cripple a ship. I suggest using the 12-kilometer Type 93 Mod 3s for the beginner. The problem with the 20-kilometer torps is that they're easily detectable and give the enemy ample time to react. The 8-kilometer torps are very close to your maximum concealment of 5.9 kilometers. You don't want to get that close to the enemy. 12-kilometer torps are the happy medium. Don't forget your guns. While they might not be as good as the Gearing or Haborosk, they can still work in a pinch and do plenty of damage. For your first 10 captain points, with your first point I would suggest priority target so you know if you're being targeted. For 2 points I would take last stand, which is a given with all destroyers. In the 3-point skill you have a choice. You can take superintendent for the extra smoke, or you can take torpedo armament expert to decrease your reload time. The Shimmy has a very slow reload, so decreasing that might be your priority. This is a torpedo boat after all. You've got good enough concealment as it is, but for your 4th point skill, take Concealment Expert to make the Shimmy a stealth assassin. If you have more points available, picking up Survivability Expert might not be a bad idea. The extra hit points might mean the difference between staying in the fight or watching from the sidelines. As far as modules are concerned, 3 must-haves are Torpedo Tubes Mod 3 to decrease your reload by another 15%. You'll also want to take Propulsion Mod 2. If you're sitting in smoke, nothing is worse than not being able to flee from incoming torps. Concealment Mod 1 goes without saying. The goal is to make the ship as undetectable as possible. Again, 5.9 kilometers is as good as you can get the ship. A few tips on how to use the Shimakaze in clan battles. First and foremost, you need to spot. Get out in front of your team using your great concealment. Be wary of radar-capable ships though. Remember that when you smoke, if you sit in it, you might lose valuable target acquisition for your team. Keep the enemy spotted. Also, if you smoke, it's most likely that the enemy is sending torpedoes your way, so be wary of that. Your torpedoes are not just an offensive weapon, but they are a huge psychological warfare tool. Even if you don't hit the enemy, their presence is enough to scare them away. Use them as a weapon of area denial. We've all heard the term torp spamming. This is the ship that coined the phrase. Protect the cap from the enemy by doing just that. Now that you've had a crash course in the basics of the Shimakaze, you should know enough to jump in and help your team.